Hey, what's up? We're back with more Oshinoko. This is season 2, episode 4. I'm really looking forward to watching this episode. I will just say at the top of the episode that my throat is really sore today because yesterday I was talking all day, just straight up all day, doing talking loudly, doing voices like that. My throat is terrible right now. So just saying that at the top of the video, just so that you know, I might talk more in this sort of low tone, even though like normally I talk up here, you know, but I might talk more in this lower tone because it's a bit easier for my voice. So if I'm doing that, that's why. If you prefer this way of me talking, just don't get used to it because it's not gonna happen very often because it's not as natural. Anyway, today we are going to be doing Oshinoko season 2 episode 4. I'm so excited for this. Last episode it ended, I mean the whole episode was great. It had a great fight between the two mangakas, and now Abiko is going to be going and checking out the play, the table tennis ping pong play that is happening. I don't know if we're gonna see her watching that or if we're just gonna like cut ahead to after she's already seen it. I kind of want to see her seeing it, but we already saw Aqua see it, you know, so I don't know exactly what it's in a storytelling way you could do anything. So let's just jump into the episode. What a bad start to the video, but it's fine. I'm not redoing the intro. Let's jump into it. This is season 2 episode 4 of Oshinoko. IHI stage around Tokyo. Oh, we are watching it. Watch it. Maybe we're not watching it. Watch it. You gotta go see her reaction to it. She's still planning to write the script. Yeah, Ryder, are you being a bit too diplomatic? Oh, is he gonna say something? Oh, Ryder, yes! Uh-huh. And you won't be able to change it. It'll be forever out there. Oh, Ryder. I like it. I really like that Ryder stepped up. Come on, work with him. Work with the Ryder. Holy shit! Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, be on a Discord call. That's great. I want to see, like, I don't know if we will, but I want to see the whole thing. Like, I want to see a bunch of it. I'm trying to read both subtitles. But it's in more in line. Yeah, see? She's got good ideas for it. He's getting it now. Aww. Seeing her smile at his idea is great. Oh, this is so good. He's nervous about that. Oh. Oh, this makes me so happy. God.
こっちも演技でどうにかなりますよね。
攻めてますね。ここもカット。
They're cutting so much. They have a 10-page script after this. Oh, she's so proud of it.
皆様、朝までお疲れ様でした。
What's wrong, Ryder?
お先に失礼します。
Is it super expensive or something?
ゴア君。いや、やっぱり手
Oh
にした通
no.
りになった。尖った作品になりがちなんだよな。
But I bet it's super expensive.
そう。新たな頭痛の種が。
They're not saying what the major problem is. Is it too hard to do? Like it'll be hard to pull off? But
やたら動きだけでどうにかし
through
な
our
きゃいけない
movements alone, yeah. So it needs to be perfectly rehearsed and not much time to rehearse it.
とんでもないキラーパス脚本じゃない。だから責任は全部こっちのせいって。
Kana's up for the challenge.
これなら最初の私と合ってるキラ脚本で。
That's so good.
でもこれはやるの難しいわよ。
Oh, Akane's got it.
私はこっちの方が得意。やっぱり演技は体で語ってなんぼ。
I mean, yeah, actors love getting the chance to show what they're worth.
俺たちはあの人の本の舞台。
Actors don't like delivering boring lines. Oh, Melt, you're nervous, of course.
奴らは右往の衆。我らが敗れることなど万に一つ。いえ、ご。そこはもっと張っていい。はい。
I wanted to hear what the director's thoughts on this were.
オキ、ここはお前の一番の見せ場だ。もっと本気で。
すみません。
Aqua's gonna
この舞台の
be holding it back a bit.
冬季はどういう感情を抱く？
Aqua's probably one of the least actors of these actors, you know, other than Melt, I guess.
そうが、舞台はもっと強く感情を出さなければ。
They're used to film acting, not theater acting.
もっと感情を引き出せ。
They're very different.
感情。
まあまあ、アクア君は舞台初挑戦だし、バランスわからないよね。
It's hard. It's hard transitioning from one form of acting to the other.
アクアの性質の問題。分かったようなこと言うんだね。
Well, she's pretty right.
それもちっちゃい頃からの知り合いだし、幼馴染みたいな。最近知り合ったどこぞの
And you know what happens with childhood friends in romances, Kana?
て再会したのここ最近だろ。有馬の言うことはすべて正しい。
言い過ぎたかも。でも私が言わなきゃ誰も。
Aw, she's trying to bring out the best in
ど
him.
うやって泣き演技をしてるんだ。
She's been doing it since she's a kid.
子役の世界でよく使われてるのはアクアくん。もし
Yeah, draw on memories. Ooh, I'll talk about this stuff in discussion.
楽で渋谷に乗り込むつもりか。ブレード以下のイノシシ侍だな。
ここは常に
I like hearing Kana's voice actress do a character like that, you know?
嬉しかった。
That's the fun thing, because we're actually hearing actors doing good performances in this show about actors doing good performances. Aww. He's thinking of all these moments with her. Oh, is that a bit of a tear I see? Seeing them on stage. Oh, oh shit. Oh no. Oh my god. That haunting image of I. You almost threw up, my man. Oh. We don't hear that much emotion from Aqua these days. Go check on him. Oh, Kana wanted to be the one to cheer him up.
発汗、ふらつき、パニック発作。でも誰かに迎えに来てもらった方が。
Ah, of course.
いや、俺はこいつのパパ
Yeah, you have to keep acting like his dad.
君はアクアの彼女かなんか
Mm-hmm. Technically.
俺はてっきり
I thought, were you gonna say I thought for sure that it was Kana?
やることはやってんのかまあ、彼女っつうなら話してもいいか そりゃ忘れられねえよな俺ですら多少は引きずってるんだ
Oh, I love Gitanda.
俺は仕事してっから
少しずつ冷たくなっていく手の感触が
Ugh,
いつまでも頭から離れ
don't like that idea.
はい
Oh my god.
愛はアクア君と同じ事務所で
Uh-huh.
同じくアイドル活動をしている妹心的外傷星野アクアが子供の頃に
Oh my god, she's putting it all together.
愛の殺
I
人
love this
事件
side of
複数
Akane.
犯の可能性愛の名字は公表されていない
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I love the way they draw her eyes like that.
あかねどうして泣いてるんだ
もしそうだったらって考えた
Man.
孤独だっただろうなって
Yeah, I think she's put it all together now. Oh.
私は何があった
Oh, and the eyes. She's so great. She's such a pillar of support that he needs. This is the credits music. No, what? What was that? Okay. That was season 2 episode 4. I'm excited to talk about in the first half of this episode I was thinking maybe I won't have much to talk about in this discussion, but then as the episode was going on I was like, oh no, I kind of want to talk about that and that and that because this show is a beautiful intersection, and there's a lot of shows right now that I'm discussing a lot, like in my One Piece reactions lately. Obviously there's like a lot going on that I want to talk about, and then in my girls band cry reactions, those ones are like probably my most packed ones. A lot of the time I'm going really in depth with character emotions and feelings and stuff. But Oshinoko is another one that's massive, and the reason that it's so big for me, there's several things coming into play, but the main two components that make it something that I want to discuss a lot is that it's about something that I actually am experienced with, which is acting, because I, if you don't know, you know, I did acting all throughout high school, and I did acting after high school for a while, and so like I've been trained, I've been like professionally trained in acting. It's something that I have done quite a bit. I dedicated quite a lot of my life to it. I don't really do much of it anymore, mostly because I don't really have the time in my life to do it. But it's something that's always, you know, like always in the back of my mind, and I always want to go back to it. Now I mostly just act in like TikTok skits that I make. Like that's the acting that I do. But because of all of that, you know, I've done theater and I've done TV types of acting, so I know. And by TV types of acting, I mean film acting, which is a type of acting. Doesn't necessarily mean acting in a film. It's like a sort of style of acting that's different from theater acting. So there's a few things I want to talk about in relation to that, but it's the intersection is that it's about acting, and also it's a show very deep into like interesting character work, and that's also something that I have experience with because I went to university pretty much to study that. That's my main focus of writing. I have a degree in creative writing. So look, I'm not the best person you can come to for information on that, because I wasn't a massively experienced actor in that, like, you know, it was mostly when I was younger. And, you know, I don't have a huge portfolio of writing stuff, but I'm like mildly experienced in both of them, so I can talk a little bit about it and relate it to anime, which is great. So I mean, well, what do I guess I want to talk about that stuff first before I get into like my things that I like about what the characters did. But they were talking about like emotional acting in this episode and the different types of like emotional acting. Now, firstly, women tend to be better in my experience. Women tend to be better at emotional acting than men, and that's mostly because, like, just generally, obviously this is a generalization, but generally women tend to be able to draw out their emotions easier because it's more of a part of their everyday life, because a lot of men kind of repress their emotions. So I've seen a lot of women that I've worked with who are incredible emotional actors, and I've seen far fewer men who are able to be like incredible emotional actors, but obviously I still have seen a lot of that as well. And so, like, when we're looking at like Kana, giving advice to Aqua is in a tough position because he's got a few things going on for him. Firstly, he is an actor for sure. I mean, he has spent like a lot of this life doing acting stuff, but he has this like heavy imposter syndrome with the acting stuff. I think because there's a few reasons, partly because he still, I think, doesn't fully think of Aqua as being like his own proper life. It's like, it's almost like he's still thinking of this as he's borrowing this body of Aqua, that Aqua isn't who he really is. And because of that, it's just like, oh, Aqua's an actor, but I'm not really Aqua. And at the same time, he spent longer being a doctor, and so he probably still thinks of himself more as a doctor, and acting is just something that he did. And also because his intentions for acting have never been because I like acting. They've always been because I'm trying to get closer to Ai's killer. So, like, all of those things make him have this pretty heavy imposter syndrome. So not believing that you can do emotional acting is one of the biggest hurdles to that sort of acting, because the really, really tough thing about acting emotionally is, like, a good portion of it is the confidence to do it. But then there's also, like, the skill that you got to have to overcome the fucking canyon in the middle, which is, if you are not doing emotional acting and you don't even have the confidence to really try, there's like a range where it's just gonna come off as, it's kind of lame, but it's fine, like, if he doesn't really have much of a reaction to Saya, coming back from the dead or whatever, right? If he doesn't have much of a reaction to that, and he's not trying too hard, it will come across as okay, but just kind of dull, and the audience won't really connect with it, but they probably won't walk out going like, that guy was a shitty actor, They'll just be like, that was a fine scene, a bit boring, And then there's the canyon afterwards. I'm calling it the canyon because there is a steep drop off in when you try more and you put more skill into it. There's this almost uncanny valley of your acting looks shit if you don't pass this canyon. And that is if you put feeling and emotion and effort into it and it feels inauthentic. If you can't get that to feel authentic, then it looks way worse than if you didn't do anything at all. And that's why emotional acting can be really hard, because, like, if you do like for example, if I was to have an emotional scene and I was to say to someone like, I'm sorry I cheated on you, right? I could just go, I'm sorry I cheated on you, right? That's me not putting much effort into it at all, and it's fine, it would work for the scene. Now, if I was to try to actually do like emotional acting, but I wasn't quite getting too authentic, I would be like, I'm sorry I cheated on you, and there was more emotion in that for sure. But it doesn't come off as authentic, so it feels weird. It feels like completely awful. Now, I'm not going to give an example of what a good version of that would be, because the fact of the matter is, on the spot, I probably wouldn't be able to pull off an actual proper version of being incredibly emotional and pulling it off. But I know, like, either if I had time and the script and it was the right day for me, I could probably pull it off, or I definitely know actors who would be able to fucking nail a scene like that and make you like devastated. I remember one of my friends who, I'm not gonna say who she is, but she is like, just for her own privacy, but she is a fantastic actress, like an incredibly good actress, and every time I look at like her socials and stuff, she's always being cast in new stuff, right? Not like necessarily, you know, massive stuff, like you probably wouldn't know her name, but she is just incredibly good. She's like she went to an acting school that I went to when I was younger, and then afterwards I did some stuff with an agency afterwards, and she was in some classes that I did for that as well, and just she's like one of the most talented people I know in general. Her acting is amazing. She does music stuff that's amazing, comedy stuff that's absolutely incredible, and she once at some point I was doing a class for my agency, and she was doing like this audition. We were doing like audition training, and she got this script, and it was like a very emotional script. And then at some point we you know, we watched, or we were doing the things, and you'd have to go into the other room, and then they'd be doing the audition in that other room. I did a script about being the devil. My script was where I was performing that I was Lucifer, but you know, it was a strange script, right? I did an okay job. Wasn't amazing. It was fine. You know, there were some things that I definitely am not proud of, and like I wish I could go back and redo it. But it was a class. Like, the point is to be kind of bad and improve on yourself. She got this script, and I saw her go into the other room, and then I heard just like crying, like this really intense crying, and I was like, oh shit, that feels like real crying, you know? And then she came out later, and she was like wiping tears away and stuff, and I was like, Jesus, man. And later we got to see the clips of it, and the camera just starts, and she's already like got tears streaming down her face, and she does this like really really great performance that like I thought was just like fantastic, you know? And it's like, it doesn't necessarily, like, just because you can cry doesn't mean you can put on a good performance, but I think she just did like a great job. And like, she knew how to pull that out of herself, and she has done it a lot of times, you know, and so she can just like go for that. For me, I have only a few times been able to pull out tears in a performance, and that's just been in like some plays and stuff, and it like, and you know, one or two short films. And it's really tough for me to do. But you guys, if you watch this channel, might know I do cry a decent amount in like while I'm watching media and stuff. So I'm not an unemotional person. I have a playlist on this channel called Videos Where I Cry. But emotional acting, point is, it's hard, and certain people can pull out those emotions even better. So a big way that they were talking about in this episode is you bring out parts of your memories. I struggle with that because I struggle to emotionally connect with my memories for anything except anger. I can think about memories to make myself angry, and that's kind of it. I can't really make myself sad with memories. Everything just goes to anger. So, but some people, when they start thinking about a certain thing, it can get them ready to cry. But with Aqua, he will think about like such a sad moment in his life, the saddest moment of both of his lives, and what happens? He shuts down, he gets sick, he has a panic attack. Like, he's not bringing out sadness, he's bringing out trauma. And that's a different thing, because his body, I think, also has a different reaction to like those emotions, which is really difficult. So like Kana, if it was to happen to Kana, and then she might be able to use that memory to make herself cry on camera or whatever. But Aqua, I don't think that's in the cards for him. Maybe it will be, and maybe we're gonna see him on stage and he does like flashback to that and is able to use that as proper emotion or whatever. But I think I think that's going to be difficult for him because I kind of relate to him in that way. And also, he's just a very subdued person emotionally in general. And that doesn't always mean that you can't be emotional on camera. People who subdue their emotions, sometimes it's actually still kind of easy-ish to give your emotions more when you're playing a character, because a lot of the time we subdue our own emotions because we're kind of embarrassed about ourselves as people, you know, and we're afraid to let any parts of ourselves be exposed. But a character, if we're playing a character, we can let that be exposed as much as we want because it's not really us. So like I sometimes around people will struggle to emote, you know, in certain ways, or emote properly, or do certain things. But when I'm playing D&D or something and I'm playing a character, I can show a range of emotions without ever feeling embarrassed about it, because it's not me doing it, you know? I've cried while playing D&D, and yet I don't cry in front of people about anything else other than watching media, you know? But playing D&D, it's like I'm playing a character, my character's crying, I'm not crying, so I'm not really embarrassed about it. I'm actually, you know, I'm fine with it. So I think Aqua might be the same way. He'd probably be able to bring out the emotions because it's not him, you know, but still would be difficult. So I loved in this episode, and I know I just talked a lot about I was yapping about some bullshit, but it happens. I loved in this episode the collaboration scene between Abiko and GOA, because it's exactly what I wanted to happen. I'm sure it's exactly what most people wanted to happen. I'm sure most people pitched that in like the first episode of season 2, or first episode of the second season, maybe, but the second episode, what the fuck? The second episode of the second season. I'm sure everyone was like, why don't you guys just write it together, right? But, you know, it's still like, you know, we're being given what we want, and it's so satisfying to see them work together and to see her, like, properly acknowledge him, because she was so dismissive of him before because she read his script and was just convinced he must be a bad writer because of it, so she wasn't willing to hear him out or anything. But then she sees his play, discovers, oh shit, this guy might actually fucking know what he's doing, and has heard writer's words, so is willing to give it a proper chance, and feels seen because they're still accommodating her by allowing her to be in on the writing process and stuff. And I like how, you know, she is like, well, look, like he's like, okay, well, your problem was with Princess Saya. Like, this was happening while Ryder was doing a monologue, and I was trying to pay attention to both the monologue and the thing at the same time. But they, like, he said to her, like, oh, so you have a problem with Princess Saya's character, right? And she goes, yeah, but also other characters as well. So, like, I want to approach a lot of this stuff. And then he's like, okay, well, we had to cut this, and we'll do this and whatever. And then she says, hey, why don't we instead have this thing happen? And he went, isn't that gonna divert very heavily from the manga? And isn't that exactly what you didn't want to do? And she says, it's fine because it keeps the core of the characters there, which was her actual note, right? But she wasn't good at communicating before, so she wasn't able to give that note properly, which is like, I'm fine with you changing all this stuff, but there's a certain integrity to these characters that I'm trying to keep intact, and there's a way to do it. And what Goa was trying to do, I think, was keep the like major broad strokes and then adjust the characters, you know, a little bit, so he could bring out what he saw as the themes of the piece. And highlight probably certain characters. So maybe in the original script, you know, Tsurugi, I think is Kana's character's name. I don't remember the name of the main character, but like maybe those two were highlighted the most in his original script, whereas like their characters and their journey were pretty intact. But the characters around them were sort of molded to elevate those things so that he could keep all of that, so that he could like properly show off the themes and also the plot events, to keep it, funnily enough, like more authentic to the manga in terms of events, and in terms of theming. While what she wants is to keep it more authentic in terms of the heart of the piece and the heart of each of the characters, where the plot can change around as long as you keep those intact. And I think she probably like values the characters more than she values her own narrative. And I think part of that is like also why she, you know, she sort of surrenders to fans in that like, oh, they always ship these two characters, so I'm going to push this ship to the side and start shipping these two characters in the story as well. Because her, whatever story she has planned out, she probably doesn't have set in stone and doesn't care about as much as she does caring about other people caring about her characters. Her characters to her, as she's described them as her babies, she cares about them so much, she wants other people to care about them. And she was worried with GOA's script, I think, that if they went out there, people would care less about these characters, that they would actually lose respect for some of her characters. But she can't communicate properly with people, and that's why when she came up to GOA at first, she said, it's all shit, throw it all away, you're a terrible writer. Like, she couldn't properly tell him what the problems were, and so he couldn't fix the script, because how is he gonna fix the script if you're not telling me what the actual problem is? It's a big thing with like studio notes and stuff as well, and like I know a lot of writers have talked about like how to take studio notes, and I think like I often remember Dan Harmon talking about it at some point. Which I think when I was growing up, a lot of my writing advice, it was like Dan Harmon and Vince Gilligan were like the main people that like as I was sort of getting my own writer's voice, I was figuring out like I was hearing things that they would say about writing. I think I vaguely remember Dan Harmon talking about studio notes and saying like, there's, you know, you might get a note that's like, that they say like, oh, you need a dog with a flower on its head in the scene, right? And you'll be like, oh, I don't want to put a dog with a flower on its head in the scene or whatever. And what the studio is telling you to do that, but they have a reason for telling you to do that they're not saying, or that they don't even understand themselves. What they don't mean they need a dog with a flower on its head in the scene. What they mean is the scene lacks a sort of beauty to it, you know, but they're not saying that, or they don't even understand that that's what they want. So what you have to do is find a way in your own writing voice to add beauty to the scene. So it's like, oh, instead I'm going to set it in the daytime, and there's going to be a beautiful garden in the background, and the characters are going to act sweeter to each other or something. So instead of adding a dog with a flower on its head to the actual scene, then you add other things around it that fit more with the story that you want to tell, but also address the note. And they don't even realize that's how you address the note, but it's probably going to work out better for both of you, because it's not going to feel like, oh, that was just put in there because the studio wanted it. It's gonna feel like, oh, the studio are actual people who were missing something and they didn't know how to express that to you. Now, I am paraphrasing so heavily from what he said, because I probably heard it like 8 years ago and I only heard it once or twice. But it did kind of stick with me, the idea behind the advice. And I guess there's, in a meta sense, that sort of works, where I don't remember the exact advice, but I remember the intention behind the advice that he was giving. And I'm putting it in my own way. So funnily enough, it actually works on multiple levels. So yeah, I really liked that scene. I loved that Ryder kind of stepped up, and you know, he was being so diplomatic at the start, but then he was like, no, you know what? Aqua said I'm the only one who can do something about this, and he's right. So I'm gonna do something about it. And he just says to Abiko, like, listen, all cards on the table. You might turn in a shitty script and everyone's gonna lose. And that's kind of the perfect way to speak to her about it, really, because he was like, he was being legitimate. He was like, look, you have all the power here, and we are gonna have to kind of go with whatever you say and whatever you do. I'm telling you, as a person who's been in this business a while and knows what he's doing, that you likely will do something you regret, and I'm warning you right now. So there are better ways we can go about this, and I really liked that. I thought it was great. Poor Melt, who's like, so he's trying to improve, and he's really at a good point, you know, where he's where he might be able to actually do something, and then they get a script that all the actors are like, oh shit, this is all based around the acting, and if we do a bad job, we fuck up the entire thing. Anyway, let's fucking do it. But Melt's like, like, the last project I was on, everyone was talking about how I ruined it, you know? Like, the creator of the series won't talk to me because she knows that I ruined the piece, and everyone just talks about how I'm so terrible. I was terrible back then. Even if he's trying to improve, this is a tall order. So I feel bad for him, but hopefully he can pull it together. But yeah, and then I love Gotanda in this episode, just being a dad again. It's just so sweet. Anyway, that is Oshinoko Season 2, Episode 4. I always have to, with this show, like, pull back. I want to discuss even more, but I have to pull myself back because I would just be talking for hours if not, which is bad for my throat. It's bad for my video retention, honestly. It's bad for everything. So thank you for joining me. Make sure to support the video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos, and my Gent Watches One Piece channel if you like One Piece. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.